Hello dear chess lovers, in this video we are going to watch Game of the Day played between Eric Rosen as white against Jobava Bahadur. Eric is a very nice guy, our ChessMood good friend who faced a strong Jobava who was a very talented 2700 player for a long while. Let's get started with the game. e4 d6, d4 knight f6, knight c3 and d5. Jobava chooses to play the Philidor variation. Knight f3. Knight bd7, bishop c4. Both players are developing. This is a very common theory. Bishop e7, castle, short castle, and here white played rook e1. Since the white bishop is on c4, always attacking on f7, black just in case plays pawn h6 to avoid any kind of knight g5 moves in the future. White continues a4, trying to get a space on the queen side. Black's preventing this with pawn a5 move. Both players continue the development. h3, going rook e8 and bishop e3. At the moment white has a space advantage, however black's position is very solid. Black is continuing bishop to f8, opening up the way for the rook on the e file. This is an interesting move. Quite often it could be a potential pressure on the e4 pawn as well. White here makes a specific move. Can you understand what's the idea of queen b1? When you don't know this kind of idea, you are being shocked. Queen is going to a corner of the board. Sounds strange, isn't it? However, it's a nice move. White is willing to put this queen on a2 and suddenly pressure on f7 spot. Since the rook is no longer on f8, it's a good target. Black needs to prevent this. At this moment, Jobava is having a little space problems. White has 2 pawns on the 4th rank. Black has only a 1. So we would like to exchange some pieces. This is a rule. When you have a little space, you would like to trade off the pieces. Pawn takes d4, bishop takes, and now knight goes e5. Knight on f3 and bishop on c4 are under attack. It would be a common reaction to take with the knight on e5. However, Rosen chooses an interesting strategy. He wants to keep the knight for some activity on the king side and gives a bishop pair advantage. Bishop takes e5, pawn takes. Now white continues queen a2 and f7 is hanging. At this moment, defending f7 with bishop e6 move seems little difficult. There could be a possibility of knight takes e5. Now if bishop c4, knight takes e4. So for this reason after queen a2, black continues queen a7, a logical defensive move. Rook a d1, taking the d file, and I would invite your attention to a next very strong move of Jobava. He continues pawn to c6, suddenly taking d5 and b5 squares under control. It's very much limiting white's knight on c3. This is a very easy knowledge to remember. Pawn, 3 squares in front of the knight, 1, 2 and 3, is very well blocking it. Understanding that there is no bright future on the queen side, white goes for a logical knight h4 move. There are now a few threats. Knight g6 can be very unpleasant, because there is a pin, as well knight f5 is hanging. To avoid these tempos, Jobava places his queen in a way solid position, queen to c7. Black is being little behind, looks like our rook on a8 is out of the game. However, bishop pair advantage is a very powerful thing. By the way, let me mention that bishop pair is very powerful, and if you're suspicious why are they so strong, check out the course of power bishop pair among our ChessMood courses. At this moment, I like a lot next move of Rosen. He understands that slowly pressuring is not a great option. Black will develop. He plays rook e3, trying to bring this piece into the game. Very well looking bishop c5 is not so obvious. White can go rook f3, use it on the f file, or rook g3. Sounds dangerous. Would be more reasonable to exchange the bishop on c4, which is a very powerful piece. And that's what Jobava is trying to do. He goes bishop e6. Now, if white is capturing, rook takes and no more pressure on the diagonal. So black can breathe comfortably. White understands this, and after bishop e6, they go rook e to d3. They don't want to spend the time on capturing. If now black takes, queen will go into the game with queen takes c4. Jobava decides to improve position of the king and takes it to a prophylactical square on h7, just in case away from the diagonal. At this moment, white makes a decisive mistake. White is playing knight to f5. Can you understand What's wrong with this move? What's the problem? Pause the video for 5-10 seconds and figure it out. As we can see, knight f5 is wrong because now after bishop takes and pawn takes, white's getting doubled pawns on the f file. Black is getting the e5 pawn, which is very strong and has a great advancement options. Jobava here plays powerful e4 move. Now if rook e3, bishop c5 will be an issue. So white goes rook to d2 and e3 is a very strong choice. Even though we're sacrificing pawn on f7, I will now explain you what's the logic. After pawn takes, black goes bishop c5. Instead of taking with the rook, it's way better to activate the bishop. King h1, rook takes e3, bishop takes f7. Right now you will say, okay, white's pawn up. Well, that's right. However, it's positioned with opposite colored bishops. So bishop on c5 controls the dark squares. This bishop can control only the light squares. Do you know the important rule for these positions? We're going for the attack, and the reason is the following. Whenever we use this bishop to take the dark squares under control, opponent cannot use this bishop for a defense. We're basically staying with an extra piece. Additionally, at this moment, Jobava starts very strong, at the same time very well working tactical actions. He is not slowly pushing on opponent's king. Black here has amazing knight g4 move. The threat is simple, queen h2 checkmate. So white has nothing else to do but to capture the knight. So pawn takes, and this is the decisive moment. Once again, pause the video, and if you can find this tactic, then your tactics is on an amazing level. For strengthening up your tactics, I will recommend you a course of Tactic Ninja, which we are offering in our courses as well. There we are covering tactics throughoutly from the very beginning till the very advanced topics. Right now, pause and go for the decision. If you thought about queen g3 move, this looks very strong. The threat is to play queen h4, rook e1 mating ideas. However, it's also dangerous. White can now play bishop g6 check. Our king has nowhere to go but to go on h8. And now rook d8. This looks so scary, because now if we take, rook d8 is mating. Rook e8 and rook takes e8 with a checkmate. However, after rook d8 check, black is winning in a fantastic way. We can continue rook to e8, giving up a piece. Now, if bishop takes, suddenly queen h4 is mating. Who cares about the material if we are mating on the board? And as well, after rook e8 move, if white captures with a check, we take rook e8. Now again, queen h4 is a mating threat, the rook joined the game, and white has no way to defend from it. Although this was winning, in the game Jobava played differently. I like his choice way more than this beautiful line. He continued rook e1 check. He's just not allowing white to have doubled rooks on the d file. Secondly, opening the way for the bishop. White is obligated to take. Now queen g3. Turns out queen h4 is a mating move again. How to defend? There is no defense available, no way to cover this diagonal. White tried to go rook to d3. Now if queen e1 check immediately, white is hoping to escape with king h2. If we give another check, maybe king h3. It could be dangerous, but white has decent chances to escape. However, after rook d3, Jobava continued with queen h4 check right now. This is forcing white rook to go to h3. At this position, Rosen resigned. What's the reason? After rook h3, queen e1 check, king h2, black has a strong bishop g1 check. What's the point of this maneuver? After forcing king h1, we go bishop f2 check, and now the g3 square is covered. So after king h2, queen g1 was mating. With this unbelievably strong sacrifice, Jobava wins the game. Congratulations to the winner. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. GM Gabuzyan was here with you, and we'll meet each other in our next videos. Stay safe.